Hi guys, I'm Danica and this is Couponing and Cooking with the Gabb. Hi guys, I'm Danica with Couponing at its finest, and this is just going to be a video probably just for Facebook. If I can, I will put this as part of my coupon tutorial series because I do have some other different videos for like my food hauls and grocery hauls and how to save on what most households have the highest consumption level on, which is food. So that's why I did those tutorial videos. Or just added to the series. Now for this one, since you guys did request a lot of prep videos, I did do a lot of fruits and veggies last week or the end of last week. So this right here is just some bunches of greens. If you guys can find these on a great deal, this is something that you could possibly do going forward, especially for people who do not have the time. Like you may be a stay-at-home mom and you have the little ones that don't give you time to individually do these things at the exact time of dinner. Or if you guys, I have a lot of doctors and lawyers and different people in my Facebook group that do not have that kind of time to do everything right then and there when it's time for meals. So this is just ideas that you guys can use going forward to meal prep. So right here I do have some collard specifically greens. Now I like mixed greens. You can get whatever kind you want, but this is just specifically for collard greens. Mixed greens means like turnips, mustards, collards, and then I also add spinach to mine, and some kind of smoked meat. You can use smoked turkey tails. That's what I actually have on the stove right now. Or you can use smoked turkey like legs or wings or something to that effect, just to add a little bit of depth of flavor to your greens, especially if you're doing fresh greens, not canned greens. You guys can add smoked meat to canned greens. I did show that on YouTube about maybe a year and a half ago. But for today, these are going into my freezer. This is prep only. I already have some greens in the refrigerator, and I bought some turkey tails that I'm going to do for dinner. I already have those boiling. It's been about maybe 2 hours. If you're going to be doing any type of smoked meat, you do need to have that time to go ahead and boil it for at least 4 to 5 hours, depending on the size. These are small turkey tails because I don't have a lot of greens left in the refrigerator, but that's also a way for me to repurpose leftovers. I'm just going to add the turkey tails to my leftovers just to bring it back to life again and get rid of them. But these are specifically going into the freezer. Now, I did get these 2 bundles for $1. These do come in bundles. They do have twist ties on them. I am in the Southwest region in Las Vegas, so we have a store. We have a lot of Hispanic oriented stores, so they always do their green bundles like this, 2 for $1. So I pay like $3 for 6 bundles. So what I'm doing right now is just prepping them for the freezer. So let me show you guys what I've done so far and what you guys could try to replicate, especially if you're new to picking greens. My people are from Clarksdale, Mississippi, so I know the long way to pick greens, but I'm going to show you guys a shortened, more newbie friendly version of picking greens. Okay, now for this part, all I'm using is a plastic bendable cutting board just for ease. If you guys have like the hard wooden one, you can use that if you wanted to, whatever cutting board you have. I have the wooden one, I have a glass one, and then I have this one. I like to grate on this one. I'm also in the process of making homemade coleslaw. So my son Damien, that you guys have seen in Cooking and Couponing with the Gabb's videos on YouTube, he's grating down the cabbage for me already. So I'm going to go ahead and get these greens done. So I am using the second bendable one that I have that's plastic. I got this from Dollar Tree. It's a 2-pack for $1. So if you guys needed a cutting board, this is a quick fix for that. Okay, now let me show you one of the ones that I've done already, and then I'm going to show you guys my process as well. So this is just one flat leaf because collard greens are really big leaves. Turnips are big as well. Now you probably couldn't use this method for mustards. Those are small greens. This process is just for the big green leaves. So what I did was to take the stem off, I just cut it straight down like this. And then just lay it flat, and any parts that you can see that are frayed or not so good, or that the bugs have gotten to them or something to that effect, just cut it off. Now what I'm using is a wide blade. Now this is gold plated, it's not gold. Knife. Make sure your knife is severely sharp, but do not cut your hands. Please be careful and safe when you guys are using it, because I'm using the tip to just go along where the stem is. So that's what I did for this one. I have a couple in the sink already because I'm going to slice those up and then I'm going to wash them. So here is a bunch that has not been done yet. So let me turn it this way. I'm going to go ahead and unbundle it, take off the twist tie, trash that. Now I'm going to take one of my leaves. I'm going to move the other ones to the side. Let's move this knife as well. You're going to open this up and see the condition of the actual leaf. Now it's bending a little bit here in the middle, so I see right here some bugs have possibly gotten to it, and then I'm going to flip it over, check for any more bug marks or imperfections. It seems like it wants to lay a little bit flatter on this side, so this is the side I'm going to cut with. Now make sure that you're holding the stem firmly. Like I said, be safe because this is a very sharp knife. And what you're going to do is just go straight down the stem. And if you need to flatten it out as you go ahead and do what you need to do. So I'm going to go to the top part, the tip of the stem, and I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to go from the bottom up the other side. And we're going to meet. And then you see I have it angled with my index finger as a guide as I go up the other side of the stem. So once we have that done, we can go ahead and remove the stem and just trash that. We're not going to use that. Now we do see that we have a little bit of fray right here that's not so good. Let's go ahead and flip it over here. I'm just going to take the tip of my knife and go straight across that top and remove that. Okay, so down here it looks like maybe a bug might possibly have eaten straight through here. So what I'm going to do is take the tip of my knife and I'm going to go straight down both parts just to remove this bad part. Take both bad parts. This was from the top, and I'm going to trash that. So the rest of it looks pretty good. Maybe this little part down here is not the best, so I'm just going to round it off and cut it around just to remove that little part right there. Maybe some bugs have gotten to that. It looks like they've gotten right here as well. This is a very sharp knife, so that makes it so easy to just cut around. If you want to cut a circle, you can cut a circle. Just be careful with your fingers. Don't cut your fingers. So that's that. So I'm going to take this and just chunk it in the sink and move on to the next leaf. So that's pretty much what I do for my collars. Now for the long way, we take it, you see how it kind of naturally folds like this. For the long southern way, we just pull it off straight down the stem, but we do it in a way that we're not destroying the leaf in the process of that. So you would just control your hand. It's your hand, so control your hand. So we're going to go all the way to pretty much the same point of the knife. Okay, we got that stem out. Now let's open up that leaf and see if it's okay. It's a little bit cleaner if you do it with a knife, but I mean that's your personal preference, whichever way you want to do it. But that's how you pick collard greens. That's called picking, southern way. Like I said, it's a lot cleaner with a knife. And then you lay it down to see if you have any more bug marks or anything to that effect, or any imperfections that you don't like and would not like to eat or feed your family. So flip it over, check it again, because we're also going to wash these. So this is pretty good. So that's how you do it without the knife method, and then also how I do it with the knife method. So you just go through all of your bundles the same exact way. Okay guys, now for this part, now you could go ahead and wash these first, which I'm going to show you that process, and then do this, or you can cut them first and then wash them. But this is just my method. You can do it whichever way you want. So I'm gonna take my leaves now. Some of them have separated left to right, but it's okay. And I'm just gonna lay a couple of them, about maybe 4 or 5. If you have some that are intact still, just fold them over. Now when you're cutting these, well, I'll say picking these, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be cutting them so that they can go in the freezer anyway. So I have about, I think this is 1, 2, this is a half and a half, so that's 3 leaves right there. So they're pretty big. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it at that, 3 leaves. So my process is I roll them. Now I actually got this part from my in-laws, not my grandmother. Now my grandmother, I don't know, I forgot what they used to do, but I've been doing it this way. I think it was my mother-in-law that does it this way. You just roll them up because she loves collards just by themselves. Now I'm still on this thin flexible cutting board, and I'm still using that same super sharp knife. Now once I roll them, I'm going to cut these in maybe a 1/2 inch, just straight across like that into strips. Because like I said, I do like mixed greens, so these are going to go in the freezer like this, but they'll probably, for the end product, end up mixed with other greens and spinach and smoked meat. Okay, so I have my strips like this. I'm going to just take them and put them in a bowl. Okay, so we got that first 3 done, so let's keep going.
For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record, for the record, yeah. For the record. Been a little too nice to y'all. Now I gotta up price for y'all. Snake eyes on dice for y'all. Shoulders on ice for y'all. Frozen. A6 all the hate. I won't get involved today. Got lost in the ball and age. I'm flipping the bars and flipping the on record, off record. I still count wins when they doubt it. On record, off record. I let them take it.
Okay guys, so what we're going to do now is wash our greens. Like I said, you can either wash them first or rinse them out really good and then cut them, or you can do like I just showed you guys, just roll them up and just cut them and then rinse or wash them. And I'm saying rinse or wash them because it depends on where you live, where you are, what store you bought them from, for the quality and cleanliness of the greens. Okay, so I have just a regular plastic colander right here, and here is my whole bowl of like green spirals, if you wanted to call it that. So what I'm going to do is fill up my colander, but I'm not going to fill it all the way to the top because this is going to be a lot. And I'm going to pull apart my spirals like this, and I'm going to leave the rest in the bowl. Now it's best if you guys have 2 bowls so that once they're clean, you just transfer them over into the other bowl. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take these right here. Now here are the 2 methods. Like I said, it depends on the quality, it depends on where you get them from. The cleanliness when you purchase them makes the difference. Okay, so I am in the Southwest region in Las Vegas, so a lot of my stores, they get them fresh, but they do pre-clean them. So what I'm going to do is just rinse them. But I'm going to also show you, because I'm from Chicago, and the method of getting the greens, depending on where you get them from, because they have trucks and different things, like watermelon trucks, people that are farmers, they just drive in and just sell their fruits and veggies. They used to be sandy. A lot of sand or dirt, because greens are grown in a garden in the dirt, so they weren't pre-cleaned. So I'm going to show you the cleaned method from the stores, if you have a clean store like that, or the unclean method, meaning you have to do the work yourself. Okay, so this is your clean method. I'm just going to run cold water, not hot. You never want to do hot water because you're going to cook them down. Any vegetable, you're going to use cold water. And then I'm just going to rinse them really, really well in this colander. And just turn them over, move them around. Make sure you're getting through all of it. Make sure you're separating your spirals and just getting down in there. Now I like cutting them first because it just makes it a little bit easier to clean. I don't know. That's just what I like doing. So I'm just going to rinse them. Okay. Now, these are nice and rinsed. Now, here is the unclean method. Now, this is what I was taught. Now, I like to use Dawn pretty much for everything, but Dawn has so many uses you wouldn't even believe it. Google uses for Dawn and you will be amazed at what you can do with it. Now I'm going to use 1 or 2 drops depending on how many greens you have in there. I don't have a lot, so I'm going to use 1, 2 drops. Now another way to do it is you can stop up your sink. If you have a double sink like mine, you can stop up your sink and just go ahead and do it that way. Matter of fact, let's do that. I can show you that. Once again, I'm going to run cold water. And I'm going to stop up my sink. Just so I can, just for teaching purposes. If you guys wanted to do it this way. Let your sink fill up. Let's go ahead and put those directly in the sink. And we already have a couple of drops of Dawn. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to have to do this a couple of times. Maybe 2 to 3 times, depending on the sandiness. Let this fill up. Now, this is also a long method. And you can see a little bit of soap over here. You don't want a lot of soap because the more soap you put in there, the more you're going to have to rinse. So we're going to do this. And just move them around the same way we just rinsed them in the colander. Make sure you're getting down in there. You see, 2 drops of Dawn, that's good. That's all you need. Dawn is great. Now, if you don't rinse them thoroughly, of course, you're going to have soap in your greens. That is the worst thing in the world. You don't want that. So, that's all we need right there. So, let's go ahead and drain. Rinse that off. Now, a little bit at a time. Go through them. Now, if they're really sandy, wash them 2 to 3 times. But make sure that when, because this is soap, you're rinsing very, very thoroughly. You don't want no residue. You don't want anything on here. You just want clean veggies. So we're going to rinse that really well. I'm actually going to rinse them again through that colander just to be sure. So that's the long method if you have, you're in an area where your greens, when you get them in your bunches, they're sandy. And in Chicago, where I'm from, they come in much larger bunches than the ones that I get out here in, basically I'm in the desert. So of course they're imported. You can't grow this stuff out here. Wherever they're getting them from, they're pretty well maintained. So I don't usually have to do this. But if I was to go back home and get those greens, any greens, collards, mustards, turnips, this would be the method I would use because they're more sandy. Well, they call it, my grandmother used to call it sandy, but dirty, basically. And like I said, I'm putting them in a colander because I'm about to rinse them again. Because I don't want soapy greens. But this was the method that I was taught. If you guys have another method, go ahead and use that instead. But this is just what I want to show you guys that I was taught when I was little. I used to sit there with my grandmother with 2 bags and a bag of greens. And we used to do that hand picking method. We didn't use knives that I showed you guys. And I used to sit there and pick them greens. And she'd get her big pot and start boiling them down, and it would be all 3 greens: mustards, turnips, and collards. Now I got the spinach from her as well. Put a little bit of spinach. I don't know why it tastes really good, but it does when you put the spinach in there as well. Now kale I wouldn't use. Kale is bitter, but collards are bitter, so you'll have double bitter. Turnips are a bit bitter. Mustards have a slight bitterness, but they're not as like the collards and turnips. So Okay, I have these rinsed to my liking. I don't see anything coming down here in my sink. No soap, no suds, no residue, no nothing. So you want to make sure that you get that very, very well, or you or your family are going to be eating soap. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up rinsing these grains, and then I'll be back with you guys to show you what to do with them after that. Okay guys, I have all of my grains rinsed and everything. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this bowl, just put it in the sink for a second out of the way. Now, I'm pretty much done at this point. So I have my Ziploc bags. So what I'm going to do is, I like to write on mine. So I'm going to write what they are, because once these go into a freezer, a deep freezer, or your regular one that's attached to your refrigerator, they become unidentifiable. We'll say that. Your meats will do the same thing. So a lot of people like to write the date on there as well. I would give frozen greens, fresh greens like this in the deep freezer up to 6 months. I have kept them. That was only because I forgot they were in there. Usually we eat them way before then, but I have had them perfectly fine in my freezer using this method up to 6 months. So I'm gonna write collard greens. Like I said, I don't usually put the date because they never last that long. We eat greens very often. We're Southern people. So I'm going to write collards. Now, I also want to specify on the bag collards because, like I said, I like mixed greens between turnips and mustards as well. And once you freeze them, if you don't write on them, you're going to see that they're greens, but you're not going to know which one. If you're mixing them together, then okay, fine. Do it the way you want to do it. But if you want individual types, then if you don't write what's in the bag on them, you're not going to know what's what. Because once they're frozen, you're not going to be able to identify between collard, turnip. The only one may be mustard because they are way smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and open the bag and just start putting them in. Like I said, you can get up to 6 months off of these very easily. So with this being April, around the, what is that, maybe October mark, if I'm counting correctly, I'm probably not. But around that time, or somewhere close to Thanksgiving. But like I said, in my house, we eat greens. I'm probably going to do this 2 or 3 times over before we get to Thanksgiving greens. So I'm going to just go ahead and just fill up my bag. You can press that down. And then if you have any excess water, you can just take the bag and just turn it upside down and drain off the excess water. This is pretty good. I don't want to go all the way to the top because then it becomes hard to seal. Plus your hands are wet because your greens are wet. Then just shake it down and there you go. Right there, that goes just straight into the freezer up to 6 months for you guys. And that's, like I said, the same for all of your greens, your turnips, your mustards, exactly the same method. Now, like I said, if you got, it depends on the quality. Now, to give you guys a time period, like I said, I had 6 bunches of collards. If I wasn't filming, it'll take me 20 minutes. So my prep time is very short. Now, if you're just starting out and you don't know, you're trying to practice, on cutting them with the knife. Like I said, be sure your knife is very sharp and you're going to go straight through them. If you have a dull knife, you're going to have a time hacksawing. So and especially you don't want hacksawed greens. That's just not a good look. So prep time about 20 minutes if you just go ahead on. If I wasn't filming, 20 minutes. Time on this video is probably, I'm not sure what the time on this video is, but altogether it took me about 30 minutes. But maybe a little more than that, 40 minutes. So looks like out of 6 bunches, I was able to get 2-gallon size freezer bags. And these are just the same bags we get from Walgreens when they go on sale, the buy one get 2 free. And you just stock up on them. So this one is pretty full, and I'm out of greens in my bowl in the sink, period. So I'm gonna press that down. I don't have any excess water at the bottom because I drained them pretty well before putting them back in the regular bowl. And that's it, guys. So if you guys wanted to repeat this, that's pretty much the method I've been using for years. So if you guys had any other comments or questions or anything, you're more than welcome to post them on this video. Okay, guys, it's going to go ahead and wrap it up for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and happy couponing with love. Bye.
For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, yeah. For the record.